All right, here we go, people. Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. We're up to 3,000 followers, and we're only growing. Right? Get this message out there. So this story is gonna be about a gang that went up against the Aryan Brotherhood, right? The AB. Probably not the smartest idea, right? I don't know what their intentions were. I don't know what their plans were. But this time frame was around 2008, 2009, or 2010, right? In that time frame, Sentinella State Prison, level 4 GP, okay? The level 4 killers, that's where we're at, right? I'm a new cop, right? I came in '06, so I got like 2 years under my belt, right? I know it all. So back then, there used to be a nice little beautiful thing we used to call downtime, all right? Downtime was when the program was down, inmates were in their cell, in between yard or in between day rooms, so the officers could like relax a little, kick back, eat their meal, right? Because we don't get paid for lunch, so we have 8 hours, right, to try to eat when we can. So this particular time, mind you, I don't know about the prison politics at this time. I'm new, man. I'm just trying to survive and not get stabbed, killed, beat up, or etc. Right? Trying to do the right thing, trying to be there for my partners, right? I don't know about the politics. I don't know about the behind the scenes at that point. I don't know who's who, what's what, right? What I do know is at that time, the white inmate population were handling their business. Oh my God, they were handling their business, right? Like some would say cleaning house, but this was more than cleaning house, right? Especially knowing what I know now and reflecting on the past. They were removing a certain group, right, of their own kind, whites. This is white inmate on white on white crime, right? This group was called United Society of Aryan Skinheads, right? USAS, okay? USAS. In essence, who they were, right? I've talked about like white gangs at the lower level under the umbrella of that big organization I just told you about, right? So there was other groups, right? Nazi lowriders, NLR, Peni, right? Peni Death Squad, Orange County, I think Sacramaniacs up north, right? So these are white groups, but they follow under that one umbrella, right? The one and only Almighty, right? In prison. Somehow, some way, this gang decided that they were going to either create themselves. I think they started in Oregon back in the 80s, but I don't know what they were, I think, were using the slogan FTB, right? FTB. I'm not going to say what that stands for, but in essence, I don't know what their idea was, but you do not go up against the people at the top. I mean, so I'm watching dudes get stabbed, right? Stabbed, like good stabbings, not like checkings, right? Not like they were trying to murder these dudes for sure. And this one particular time, right? I told you about downtime. I was eating my lasagna, right? I remember it was lasagna. And we were inside the Charlie Law Library. Okay, the law library is, in essence, it looks like a library out on the streets, right? But of course, there's like holding cells inside, which are little prison cells or little cell cages that, if you're an ADSEG inmate, they will bring you to there, meaning you're in max custody, and you can look at encyclopedias, you can look at legal paperwork, penal code, etc., to fight your case, fight whatever case you may be fighting and or going up against. So that's the law library, right? And that's where we used to gather, congregate, and eat our food in between yard and day room, right? Like I just stated. And you don't really expect anything to be going on or cracking off or a code or a fight to be going on during this time, because it's downtime, right? It's not, you're not letting down your guard, but in a way you kind of are letting down your guard. right? That's like a time you can decompress. You know, there's a door that's locked or whatever, or we can lock it. Me and my partner's in there. I'm eating. And over the radio, right, the state radios that we have, I hear code 2, code 2, Charlie Voke, right? Charlie work change. Let me tell you what a code 2 is, right? It's kind of a big deal, right? We're asking for assistance to come and help, right? Because it's too much for the people there to help there, right? So I'm like, what the? Like mid-bite, man. Mid-bite. I think my mom made that lasagna too. It wasn't like that frozen dinner lasagna. This shit was good lasagna, man. And code 2, Charlie Vogue, throw my spoon down, right? Jump up out of my chair. Like I said, I had 2 years in, man. I was eager, excited, motivated. So we're trying to get the door unlocked fast, right? We open the door, crack it, and we run. So Charlie Vogue, Charlie work change is you have your prison yard, right? You have the program wall where you have your sergeant's office, your law library, your dining hall, your medical. But on the other wall, the back side of the wall, that's where people go and do vocational programs. They used to do vocational programs. The state did away with that, I think. They used to sew boxers, the state boxers, right? They used to like you're learning a skill set, you're learning a trade back there, and there's a process to get back there, right? In order for you to gain access to the back over there, the inmates have to strip out, right? Get completely naked. This wasn't one of my best favorite parts of the job. Anyways, they used to get completely naked, pull down their boxers, give us everything, turn around, squat, and cough, right? 3 times. That's where you see it in the movies. We're, in essence, looking for contraband, drugs, weapons, cell phones, etc., right? So, like, it's another gate, another lock, right? So we're freaking trying to get through, right? Because we're here in code 2. They didn't necessarily say what it was. They kind of just called the code 2. So, man, we got partners pushing up against us. We're like trying to get in, trying to rush, make a beeline in there, right? So when I come in, I see 2 inmates, right? The race was white. They were white, but their face and body were covered in blood, like red, like the movie Carrie, right? So I didn't technically know they were white at that time because it was just blood. It was just red, right? And I looked down, and these dudes were messed up. They were messed up, man. Like, I think there's different levels to violence. I think there's different levels to getting your ass kicked, and I think this one was up there on the food chain, right? They meant business. And these 2 guys got attacked by 4 guys. So it was a 4-on-2. Right? So they probably put 2 dudes on one, right? That's normal. 2-on-1s. Simultaneously. They stabbed these dudes. Stabbed them. Right? With weapons. Fuck. The blade portion must have been like 7 to 8 inches long, all right, and it wasn't a blade. It was a like a long screw. Back there, they have access to machinery, right? It was a long screw that they sharpened to a point. So every weapon was like this, an ice pick type weapon. I want you to imagine an ice pick. Beautiful handle. I mean, these dudes were not playing. These dudes more than meant to kill these individuals. Their eye sockets were crushed in, right? Their eye sockets were crushed in. Stab wounds throughout their body. And I believe one of the dude's back was broken. So I don't know if they were kicking the dude in the back, stomping him out. Anyhow, they inflicted damage on these 2 dudes, right? So I'm newer, 2 years. I run up on the scene. The suspects were not. The suspects were not necessarily close to him. So what they'll do is they'll stab, 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 depending on they have to take it all the way or not. They'll then throw their weapon. If they're OGs, this is what they'll do. And I've seen this shit too recently. They'll throw it right there, and then they'll prone out, right? They'll prone out and put their hands behind their back to get handcuffed. Like, in essence, telling the cops, like, this isn't with you guys. We handled our business. We're now complying. We're now going to follow suit, right? That's, to me, OG shit, man. That's the last of a dying breed right there. I don't encourage violence, but that's a correct way to do violence. I'll tell you that much. If there was a correct way or an incorrect way, that is a correct way, right? So this dude's gurgling in his blood, like gurgling, right? And I'm new, and I'm like, hey, dude, what's your name? And he was just like gurgling blood. And I realized, like, at that instant, man, that was dumb of me to ask that when I didn't put two and two together, the condition this individual was in, right? This white dude. And once I realized, oh, this dude isn't going to be able to talk, I, found his ID. That's why we make inmates carry their IDs for this particular reason, right? They always think that we're tripping in the chow hall when we say, hey, let me see your ID, let me see your ID, because it's prison. You can get stabbed to the point where you can't talk or breathe or say anything. So we have to identify you, right, to get you out to the hospital, to get you that medical care. Pretty sure these dudes got life flighted. I don't remember the life flight, but this is one of those times where you would get life flighted, for sure. In essence, meaning we call for a helicopter. The injuries are so severe, we call for a helicopter to get you the fastest medical care at the time, right? So we gaffle the suspects, right? I'm new, so I'm like, oh, look, there's a weapon right there. There's a weapon. And it was one of those, right? So we're taking pictures, evidence preservation. This is an attempted murder. For all I know, it was a murder, but they survived. They survived. So attempted murder for sure. We gaffled those dudes up, right? And then the whole process of sending them to the whole ADSEG, rolling up their property, placing them in ADSEG, giving them their disciplinary RVR, rules violation report. They ended up going to C6. C6 was our standalone ASU, where it was pods, right? And then cells on one side, cells, and the inmates in the cells are facing a wall, a concrete wall, right? And then there's a back door where you can go out to the inmate yards. What that looks like is kennels, like dog kennels, okay? Before, the inmates in ADSEG used to go to a big ASU yard, right? And then CDCR went to these kennel-type modules, right? Exercise modules. So, yeah, that just goes to show you that anything can crack off at any time. And so, the whole point of that was they were removing those individuals off of California prison yards. This shit was happening throughout the state of California at other institutions. Like I said, I didn't know it then. I was just boots on the ground, new. Yeah, I ended up talking to a couple of those dudes in the hole, like those USAS guys, and I just chopping it up, right? But I didn't know details. I didn't know politics. So, yeah, man. Number one, don't go to prison. Number two, if you're gonna go to prison, you better mind somebody. Number three, if you go to prison, be on guard and don't go against the grain. All right, keep pushing forward.